Hey, how's it going? This is Christian Strain. We're and
Go ahead, do it. Let's see if you.
Michael Giuliano.
Very good. I
All
thought maybe
right.
it was a fluke. Well
Yeah.
done.
On the 42 review, I'm going to review the Lost Ruins of Arnak versus Dune Imperium. A lot of people are comparing these games together. And Michael, you haven't played either one, but you got Arnak back there.
As you can tell, it's still in shrink.
And you've got that. You got the hat for it.
Yeah, it's not. It might not stay on the whole time. It's kind of.
It looks great.
Jones though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, the reason why Mike is here is he can ask me questions that I might not think to cover for people who haven't played with me yet. So, jumping right into it, let me share. There we go. So the way these ratings have been going, or Mike has done as well. We rate by replayability, then art and production, theme, mechanisms, and innovation, and then the overall rating is an average of all those stars. I don't allow in between ratings for these. So, like if it's a 3.5 replayability, I make the hard choice of going to 3 or 4, just to force the choice, but the final rating might have a point to it or so. First, talking about Arnak and replayability. When I first got this game, I think it was in January, maybe February. When I first got this game, we played it, Aaron and I, 3 times in the space of 2 days.
Wow.
So to me, that says replayability, right? However, we haven't played it since. And I love the game, but one of the reasons why is because we get a lot of games in and stuff. But after the third game, you started feeling like after the first game you play, you want to play right away. And then after that, you're like, "Ooh, yeah, let's try this and play one more time." And then after the third one, I kind of felt like I knew all the cards and understood it. For replayability, I gave it 3 stars. Mostly because I almost went 2 just because it dropped off that fast. But as I was putting this together, I'm like, I'm definitely going to play this again because the more I think about it, the more I want to play it again, right?
So I have a question right out of the gate.
Yep. Awesome.
Do you think that replayability in today's gaming hobby is lower because there's so many damn things that we're trying to get to throughout the course of a week, in addition to whatever else we're doing in our regular lives?
You mean because there's so many new games and stuff like that?
Like, would you get Arnak to the table if you hadn't played X, Y, and Z since the last time you played it? Like you're saying now, you're thinking the more you talk about it, the more you want to play it. So that would, to me, speak to replayability. But because there's so many damn things coming out.
I mean, that's fair, and I definitely have the cult of the new kind of thing. The new games, I want to explore those kind of thing. But this is a game that's going to come back to my table more and more. I'm very picky on the stars for replayability. I'm not sure which one. Like, it might take a couple years for me to finally go, okay, this game's been consistently played over and over again. It's a 5. I don't know if a new game, relatively new game, is going to get 5 stars from me just because I don't have the length of time to decide if it really is replayability, right? Or replayable.
Sure.
I guess before I jump further into this, I should talk about why these are being compared, right? We talked a little bit about it beforehand, and so I kind of just got it, forgot that it's not recorded here, but so both Arnak and Dune are worker placement, and they are deck builders. But they also do the thing where, or relatively new thing, where the cards that you play can either have a card function that you play it and something happens, right? And or the card tells you where you can place your worker, agent, or explorer, whatever you want to call them. So because both of those have that mechanic and they both kind of came out right around the same time, a lot of people are comparing them. Some people say they're totally different. And definitely the themes are totally different, but the mechanisms are there to at least compare them. With that, replayability on Dune, I've given it a 4. So, and the reason for that is because it has a much more tighter feel. I've also played it with more than just 2 players, whereas I've only played Arnak with 2 players, and I kind of dread playing it with more. Not dread. That's too harsh. I don't think it's going to be as good with more, and I could be wrong. That's just a guess. Whereas Dune felt like I can't wait to play it with more, and I was right. It's better with more. It's a little more cutthroaty, like a little more competitive for not only spaces but how you play cards and what you do. Okay. So for that reason, and this is just subjective for me, Dune has been hitting the table a little bit more regularly, or at least I'm bringing it to the game nights and stuff now, which I haven't brought Arnak yet. So,
you've played both of them 3 times, but Dune gets more replayable stars.
Yeah, well, I learned Dune a little bit later, so that and it was more spaced out too. It's a strange thing. Like Arnak, the minute I got it, I wanted to play, and then I was tired of it. And then with Dune, like I want to play, but I just haven't had the time recently to get back into it. And both kind of play around the same amount of times, and setups are kind of about the same too. And a lot of that goes into replayability.
Yep.
So art and production, Arnak, I gave 5 points. I mean,
whoa,
the artwork is awesome, which I didn't pick the right image apparently for the bottom there, but it's hard to see. But even the little item cards off to the side, like the machetes and stuff, those are really nice. But they have like these monsters that are at ruins and stuff. And it's just beautiful artwork. Not only that, but like component wise, you get these cool little gems, and they could have gone with the standard gems, or like these that come in a lot of stuff, but they made their own gems. You can get little stone tablets, and they made little plastic tablets that look like stone tablets and stuff. It's just a really nice production. So I also had no problem with any of the graphic design. Everything's readable, so on. So for that, it gets a 5.
Katia is watching, and she also agrees. She loves the components.
And she would know components.
You
would. Unfortunately, Dune only gets 3 in art and production. One thing that kind of drags us down is, as you know, or some people might know, that Dune Imperium is a new movie coming out soon, I think. I think it got pushed because of the whole COVID thing. But
what now? I never heard of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're kind of stuck to what's in the movie. So the artwork is based off of, that's what's his name, Chalamet, or I forget what the actor's name is, but they basically had to make artwork based off of the movie. And there's even a character that looks like the guy that plays Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't remember his name. Dave Bautista?
Bautista,
yeah.
So
and you can tell it's him.
Those aren't stills from a show or anything. That's actually art.
No, I mean, that is artwork done. And so it's good artwork, but that's kind of the only really good artwork. I mean, there's cards too that you get if you could flip those cards over at the bottom there. And they're all right. It's good art. It's nothing bad with like I don't recoil from the art or anything. The bad part, the part that made me drop it down a star from Arnak, is the board is really boring. and it's just kind of flat, not much going on, and the graphic design's kind of a little hard to tell what's going on, and some of the cards are real small and stuff like that. So just a minor little petty issue, but that's what dropped it down to star.
2 stars.
2 stars, right.
How is the card quality? Is it flimsy, or does it have that like satin, or the not satin finish? You know what I mean?
That linen finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's standard.
Style.
I don't remember picking it up and thinking, oh, this is nice, but I also don't remember having a problem with it. And I don't sleeve my cards. I shuffle them, all that stuff, no problem. So, no dust came up when I did it, so it's fine. That happens in some cards.
Dust was coming out of your cards when you shuffled. It seems like there's another problem going on there.
Yeah, I shuffle real hard. Theme-wise, so while I love the theme, and I assume you do because of your Indiana Jones hat, of Lost Ruins of Arnak, the rating that I give it isn't based on how much I love the theme. It's based on how much I feel like I'm in that theme when playing. Worker placement and deck building are great mechanisms, but there's no story really going on. You just kind of choose, oh, I'm going to go to this ruin, or, oh, I'm going to go here to advance my, education or whatever it is, or to get these, elements. You don't really feel like you're going step by step into the ruins and doing things. You go to a ruin and you pay the amount that you need to, and a monster is revealed and you pay the amount you need to kill it, or not, you just leave. So you don't feel engulfed in that. That's not the right word, but you don't feel surrounded by that theme. But it's still beautiful and it's still fun to play. So, theme wise, on Dune, however, Dune is all about like intrigue, like a Game of Thrones kind of feel, like these different houses fighting each other. And you definitely feel that what's the word, like the push against each other as you do things. Like it's not straight up combat, although there is a little bit of combat area that you can or cannot jump into if you want. But
there's tension in the game and you can feel
there's a lot of tension. Thanks, that's the word I was looking for.
That's why I'm on the show.
Yep. Yeah, the tension in the game is really what I think a lot of people like about this, is that every single action you take feels like it matters for the end game. Whereas in Arnak, obviously every move you make matters. You just don't feel it as much.
Does every step you take matter?
Every step. Don't get that stuck in my head. With Dune, though, if I'm reading the book right now, and of course I've seen the movie. You said you saw the movie, the original movie, not the new one. But it's all about those houses doing things and getting one over on the other and stuff like that. So it definitely feels like it's a theme.
Okay.
Mechanisms, your favorite word?
Love it.
I give Lost Ruins of Arnak 5 on mechanisms. So the reason why is this. They made some great choices. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and reveal what I gave for Dune, because I want to compare them here.
Well, they both have similar mechanisms, yeah?
They do. Dune gets a 4. And I'll tell you why. So there's 2 aspects to this that really pop out to me. For one, Arnak, whenever you are doing deck building and you buy a card, a lot of, or most deck builders will have you put that in your discard. And that's what Dune does. But Arnak, and a few other games do this too, Arnak tells you to put it on top of your deck, so you're seeing it the next hand. And that is just absolutely better. And unless you have a really good reason for it, that should be the standard for all deck builders. Because how many, especially near end game stuff where you don't care about buying a card, because you're never going to see it again,
Right.
except maybe it's worth points or something like that.
Right.
Like you lose out on the mechanisms behind those cards on the later part of all those games. Whereas with this, you're getting it the next hand, even if the next hand is the last round.
Right.
So it matters. It really matters. And then there's another part, the cards that you buy for that hand. Arnak has this great little mechanism that has a little staff that kind of moves after each round, and it helps clear and wipe the board and make it fresh every new round. And Dune's cards just sit there and are kind of stale for a while. Like if people don't buy them, they don't go away.
And there's no way to get rid of them?
No, not really. I mean, I think there's a special ability. Each house that you play has a special ability, and that is a bonus that Dune has that Arnak doesn't. Special abilities, special player powers. But I think there's one that allows you to take one and hold it or something like that. I have to look at it, but for the most part, no. It's just kind of a stale spot. So just because Arnak has those extra little bits that just shine up those mechanisms, I gave it an extra star. And finally, the hardest one to grade, which is innovation. I gave a 4 to Arnak and a 4 to Dune because both of them sort of play the same mechanisms together in a very similar way. And there's not that many games that do that. They also have a unique theme between when compared against each other. And it's the strangest thing that I can play both of these games back to back and I won't feel like I played the same game, but they're still kind of the same mechanisms. If I taught the first one, teaching the second one would be really easy because I'd be like, remember that last thing you did? Well, this is this, but a little bit different. But the gameplay is completely different. And there's not a lot of games that do that kind of thing. What was that?
You said that if you played them back to back, obviously easy to teach because of the mechanisms. If you played them back to back, that you wouldn't feel like you were playing the same deck building worker placement. Do you think that ties into the theme better for one than the other, or is that just?
So, what do you mean by ties into the theme? You mean like are the themes what separate that?
Right. Like you got Arnak on the table, you're playing Arnak, and then you wipe the board. You put Dune on, and you said you don't feel like even though they're both worker placement, deck builder, anything else. Why would you feel? What makes you feel like you're not playing the same game back to back when they both have the same mechanisms in each game? Besides the art, obviously.
Right. I think all of that really comes into play, the theme and everything. But in the end, to me, it's the tension. Like I said, the Dune really feels like my favorite thing to think about is there's a movie called Inglourious Bastards that starts off with a theme of the Nazis sitting in a room and he starts talking to this guy who's hiding people below the boards, all that stuff. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And you can cut the tension with a knife and that kind of thing. And it feels like that at certain parts in this game in Dune. Like maybe not that desperate, obviously, but you feel like like, oh man, if I do this, then this person will have an opening to do this, and like you have to really look at what people are doing, and you get involved with what the other people's actions are so much more. Whereas with Arnak, it's a little bit lighter of a feel of a game. You feel a little more relaxed. I would almost want to play Dune first, then Arnak. Because you're like, oh, let's have a more relaxing, just kind of crawl around in some ruins. And I mean, there's still some competition. There's still a reason like, oh, they went to I want to go. I guess I'll go over here instead and pay an extra thing, or you know what I'm saying. But in some worker placements, the The placement is if I don't go there and somebody else blocks me from going there, I'll have to go over here and switch up my strategy. And Dune just has it so much more finely cut, so it feels a little more tension. The feel is different. And if you're doing math already,
Nope.
those are my final ratings.
Wow.
And it was kind of strange to me that Arnak came out just a little bit ahead, because when I think about it, I actually said this last night to someone. I said that Arnak has better mechanisms, but Dune has a better experience. And so maybe this rating is more of a kind of like a less subjective viewpoint, because if you put both games in front of me, I might want to play Dune over Arnak. And that also depends on the group. Like if I know that, oh, this group is going to really, if the people I'm playing with really want to get into it and have that tension and all that, then great. But if it's a group of people that just kind of want to relax and have fun and, not have too much of a struggle between each other, like, yeah, I'll buy a card out from under you, or I might go to a spot you want to go to, but it's not that big of a deal, then Arnak's your game. They're really close.
IP had something to do with it too? Like, you're familiar with the Dune IP. Do you think that's your draw to want to play Dune over Arnak because of the IP?
No, I love both of them. I love both of the IPs. Well, one's an IP, one's just a theme, right? But I think they're. If I were to rate the theme based off just my subjective like of the theme, they both have high marks. So, yeah, it's difficult for me to make a choice. So I'd be happy either way, though.
It's cool.
Yep. So that is the rating there. Hopefully, Mike, you will eventually play both, and maybe we can have a revisit. I'm trying to get over here so I can bring us back.
Sure. Can I take this hat off now?
I know you've got Arnak back there. You need to get Dune, and you need to get him to the table so we can see what you think.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, now that things are opening up again, like maybe I can actually see some people on a regular basis and play some of this stuff that's around me that's been accumulating for a pandemic and a half.
Yep. Awesome. Well, we have a game to go play.
Yeah, we do.
Let's run off. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later.